Many people ask me why I moved to the United Kingdom from the United States, and the short answer is I moved here for my wife. That's right, I came to the UK on a spouse visa, a very traditional move across the world love story. And in case you're interested in that story, I actually made a video about it over a year ago that you can check out. So, while the story of why I moved to the UK may be pretty straightforward, my reasons for choosing to stay in the UK are a completely different conversation. And that's what I want to talk about today. So, just to super condense my life story, I was born and raised in the United States, specifically born in Southern California. I had a good life in the States for the most part, and in 2018, while doing a 3-month long trip in the UK, I met my wife. We got married in 2020 during the COVID lockdowns, and we decided to start our life together in the UK because I wanted my wife to be near her family where she could have a strong support system. So we did my spouse visa, and over the last 5.5 years, we've built a great life here in the UK together, and I'm now a British citizen. And it's also worth mentioning that we have a very cute little girl as well. So, when we moved to the United Kingdom, we had always had it in our minds that eventually we would go back to the United States. The kind of general thinking was that I would get my British citizenship and then we would move to the US and help my wife get her American citizenship, and we would just take it from there. However, if there's one thing I've learned in my time as an immigrant, it's that visiting somewhere and living somewhere are two entirely different realities. And let's face it, without knowing any better, when I thought of living in the United Kingdom long term, it didn't sound great. Gray skies, rain, small houses, tiny roads. At surface level, it would have made a lot more sense to move to the US where it would be sunny and warm, with big, spacious houses and front and rear gardens, a garage that could easily fit 2 cars, the whole white picket fence American dream. But once I actually moved to the United Kingdom, and when I started doing life here, started working here, had to go to the doctor, had to do those everyday normal things that I did in the US, this is when I realized something. I had been lied to my entire life. And just to make this clear, I do not think the United States is a bad country, and I do not think the United States is a horrible place to live. On the contrary, I believe that you can actually have a very decent life in the United States. But there are some quality of life factors that, having grown up in the United States, I didn't realize were a problem. And my wife, although British, she didn't realize it fully either because she had never lived in the United States. She had only gone on holiday there, where obviously she was living quite a luxurious life, you could say. So when I ended up moving to the United Kingdom and I adjusted to all of the changes in life, I started to notice some things. Firstly, there was universal healthcare. Now, everyone knows the NHS isn't perfect. But when I compare my experience using the NHS versus my experience using US healthcare, you really start to see how much anxiety the US healthcare system makes for you. So, US healthcare is not bad, it's good quality. But the cost of it and the cost of health insurance is insane. And in the 5 years that I've lived outside of the US, those costs have gone up dramatically. The majority of people I know in the United States who pay health insurance pay about the same amount each month, if not more, than a mortgage. One of my family members even recently quoted to me that to get health insurance for their family of 4, it was going to cost them more than $800 a month. And that was for the most basic plan that covered almost nothing. So naturally, it was a bit of a shock when I came to the UK and started using the NHS. And I realized I didn't have to pay anything. I didn't have to pay anything at the point of service, that is, because of course the NHS is paid for with taxes. Although when you break down the amounts, you're paying substantially less than you would ever pay for health insurance in the US. So for all the times that I had to go to the doctor, or my wife had to go to the doctor, I really became grateful for the NHS. I no longer found myself avoiding to go to the doctor because I didn't want to have to cough up the money, something that is surprisingly common in the US. And then when my daughter was born, that's when I really realized how fantastic it is to have universal healthcare. We paid nothing at the point of service to have our daughter. And this made me wonder why the United States was withholding this same type of benefit from the American people, especially when out of the 33 what are called first world countries, only one of them doesn't have universal healthcare, which of course is the United States. But moving on from healthcare, next came when I got my first job in the UK. I wish you could have seen my face when they told me the holiday that I was going to get. They explained to me that it would be the standard 28 paid days off each year, including bank holidays. They then asked me if that was going to be okay. I sat there in complete disbelief and actually had to ask them to repeat what they said. You see, in the United States, there is no federal requirement to give paid leave to employees. It is completely up to the company. And it is estimated that anywhere from 25 to 30% of jobs in the United States do not offer any paid time off. Whereas here in the United Kingdom, it is a federal requirement, and everyone who works is entitled to holiday pay. This really made me realize how much I was getting screwed over in the United States. I would very often work shifts of 12 hours or more, sometimes 6 days a week, and I essentially never got any holiday pay. If I wanted to take a break, I just had to not get paid for it. And trust me, a week of no pay is not a great time. So not only did I fall in love with the fact that I get great holiday here in the UK, but I fell in love with the general work culture here. I find that here in the United Kingdom, jobs treat you a lot more like a human being, and your work-life balance is immeasurably better. So we've covered universal healthcare and we've covered the work-life balance. But another area that stood out to me that I really started to see after moving to the United Kingdom is just how safe the United Kingdom is compared to the United States. Contrary to the false information that's put out there by certain political groups, the United Kingdom is a very safe country, and London is one of the safest cities in the world. In fact, based off of statistics, London is safer than every major US city. And that general safety made me realize that maybe it was good to stay here in the United Kingdom, especially now that I have a daughter. And then, of course, to top it all off, there's everything that's happening in the United States right now, which often just seems like complete chaos. So when I mix all of these things together, I realize that I have a good life here in the United Kingdom, and I can't think of much that the US can offer me that would equal that same nice life and that same nice pace of life that I now have here in the United Kingdom. So for that reason, I choose to stay put, and I can gladly say that I'm more than happy here in the United Kingdom for now. That doesn't mean that we won't ever try to go to the United States, but at least for the foreseeable future, we plan to stay here. Now, there's a lot more I could say, and there's many more reasons that I could give. Probably each reason would deserve its own video entirely. But I hope you've enjoyed my video, and I just want to say how grateful I am to be here in the United Kingdom. Thank you so much for watching. Also, I want to take a moment to thank those of you who have decided to become members. It's just a small little monthly fee that helps me out, and hopefully I can give you some worthwhile benefits for doing so. I have to give a massive apology to my current members. For some reason, my YouTube was not notifying me that I actually had members until about a month later. So I want to give a shout out to those members, most of whom I'm probably going to completely mispronounce their names, but I'll just put up a screenshot showing the list here so you can see them yourself. So to Patricia Perkins 4252, thank you so much for becoming a member. And to Darian Destar 3941, thank you so much as well. Easy, I'm gonna hope that's how you say it. I like the smiley face. Thank you so much for becoming a member as well. John Davies 9347, thank you. Ian Clengham 1062, I'm sorry if I've mispronounced that, but thank you so much for becoming a member as well. And lastly, Daft Gauk 1, I have no idea if I said that right, but again, thank you so much for becoming a member on my channel. I will definitely have to explore more of what those memberships look like and what else I can offer to you all. So one last time, thank you all for watching my video. Thank you for your support. I hope you have a great rest of your week.